order for this to work. Otherwise, SSH protocol will not work. I mean, it will work on the server, of course, but nobody will be able to connect to it, which is rather inconvenient. So let's just take a look at this command once again shortly. iptables is the firewall, and that is the command that you use to edit the firewall. I could have used append here, but instead I have used insert, because insert allows me to specify a position in the chain or in the portion. Let's go ahead and do this again, because I really didn't explain what chains are. To me it comes naturally, but I'm afraid you won't understand what a chain is. I will explain this later, of course. So it's -I, which is for insert, and then input is basically a segment of the firewall. That's all that it is. And what I'm saying, in that segment, take the first position, and in the first position, please accept, basically here, all packets which are TCP on the destination port of 22. Now this is the basic explanation of what I've just written here, but as I said, this rule you can use as well. You can just retype it from me. This will punch a hole in your firewall and open up a route for SSH, secure shell. And later on I will show you in far greater detail how this command works, what other options you have, and how you can manipulate your firewall rules to your heart's content. Anyway, now that we have indeed done that, I have ran a reset on this machine. So let's just see if it actually contains the same IP address as before. I have config. Doesn't actually have an IP address because networking is disabled. Let's have a look now. I have config. Okay, we have 192.168.1.101. I will now go ahead and open up my Red Hat machine. So it's right here, it should be functional. Excellent, so now we would like to connect to that place. All that you need to type in is SSH space username. Who do you want to be on the remote system? So obviously I want to be creator at 192.168.1.101, and if I press enter, it will ask me, it will say basically that the authenticity of a host 192.168.1.101 can't be established. The authenticity cannot be established because the fingerprint is not, it doesn't have its key in its own, in the files. There's nothing to compare it with. It doesn't exist. It just means that we've actually never connected to this client before, or to this server before would be a correct way of putting it. So are you sure you want to continue connecting, because we are now going to import this key from somewhere else? And I will type in yes, because I know exactly where I'm logging in. But if you're not certain, or if you don't know, I would definitely suggest that you don't do it, because you're accepting the encryption from somebody and you're accepting a remote shell, basically, because we are going to connect to them via remote shell. But you know, a lot of problems can come to be, because this remote shell works both ways. I mean, when you type in commands there, you have to get a return output from somewhere else, and there can be a lot of tampering with it. So if you know where you're logging into, go ahead and say yes. If you have no idea where this place is, please say no. There's no need to connect to it. So go ahead and say yes. Now we will be, it says warning, permanently added to the list of known hosts. So the key has been added, the fingerprint that is. And now we will need to actually type in the password here. So test, a fairly simple password, and there we go. We are now logged in. How do you know that we're logged in? Well, I have config will show me that IP address, and you're like, well, oh well, you might have typed it in on the Red Hat server, the Red Hat client as well here. Well, let me show you. Okay, so open terminal. Come on. I don't think I'll be able to do this. Oh, I actually will. So you see here, it says ifconfig, and then we have the IP address. But here, when we type in ifconfig, we have a completely different IP address. You can also type in who am I. It says creator, and if I type in on my own system who am I, it says random guy. So I have successfully become a completely different person over here as opposed to over there on my own system. Anyway, now we can issue commands like whatever we want. We can create file. You can do everything that we have done thus far in a shell. For example, I can go ahead and touch creator. Oops, I'm doing this the long way around. So home creator, and now I can perhaps go into downloads, and then in downloads I will go ahead and create hey anybody there, press enter, and this file has indeed been created there. So let's go ahead, I will minimize this, and now I'm in my CentOS machine. So let's go ahead and go navigate into downloads. A double dot, cd space double dot is go back one folder. Then I'm typing in a slash, and I'm going to type in downloads ls, and you see that there is indeed a file, hey anybody there. Fairly simple protocol to master, not a big deal. You can log in with ease. Now, logging in with passwords is not the best of options. Rather, instead, what we want to do is log in with keys, and we also want to examine the configuration files for SSH, the key files for SSH, etc. All of that we will do in the final and last tutorial in regards to SSH and remote connection to a server or to a client or to wherever you would like to. Anyway, I bid you all farewell, and I hope to see you in the follow-up tutorial. Welcome all to this tutorial. Today I will show you how you can create a passwordless SSH login. Why should you do this? Well, to be frank and brief, passwords are insecure. Let me put it so. Why? Well, you know, they can be guessed. That's the first flaw. Second flaw is that you actually have to type it in, and whoever is looking from behind your back or whoever is nearby can hear you typing, so they can either figure out, so they can literally hear the amount of keys you press on your keyboard, and they will know the length of your password, or they can actually see you typing it in. They don't have to catch all the characters, but if you keep typing it in every day, and if somebody's there in the office, they will eventually see it and know it. And if you use that password on some of your other services as well, that can be a security nightmare. Security scenario nightmare, let me put it so. Anyway, in order for us to avoid such inconvenient situations, we will configure our SSH server to permit passwordless logins via keys. So let's go over to our SSH server, which is CentOS. I will go ahead and log in. I'm sure I have a few stuffs running here. Okay, that was me testing these sort of things out. Now let's go ahead and have a look at our configuration file. In order to have a look at the SSH configuration file, the SSHD configuration file, just type in vim etc sshd config, and here you can configure a lot of things, and I mean a lot of things. You can actually change the port, so by just deleting this bar and typing in a different port number, different port number. You can actually change the port here if you like, but I will just leave 22. Usually when it goes over the internet, people tend to change the port. Feel free to do so. Down below